Hello and welcome to the Australian Gamer Show. I'm Yug.
I'm Matt.
And tonight we're going to be talking about Nolan North.
Mag gets AU servers.
Music games gen... blah.
The music game genre is dead.
No, this makes no sense whatsoever, man.
It's words. It's
But
words
that's
on
not
paper.
a word, that's a signature.
I have to admit, I
Is
can
that
kind of see what you're going with.
Genre?
Yeah, that is genre.
No, you've written gen.
What I've done there is I've decided to do partially cursive and partially just... you know.
Retard is what you've done
No.
there. I'm sorry. So usually we type the topics up on the computer, but for this particular time, Matt's written them all down. Because Matt has, in fairness, actually done his research today and actually gotten all these topics. I have no idea what we're talking about, but I still have no idea what we're talking about because I can't read your writing.
Well, the original point was just for me to have some notes while we had something somewhere else, but then we decided to just go with this.
Okay.
Anyway, also, what was the next one?
I don't know because I can't read it.
Mass Effect 2 fights used game sales.
And Grim Turismo.
That's not grim. That's not even funny.
Anyway, yes, we are here.
Where are you going with that?
I gotta be completely honest with you. I am so amazingly overtired at the moment. Do you know?
Are you going
there's.
to be more manic?
I don't know. I'm not drunk. I've had a few wines. That's it. I'm so overtired. You know how you hit a brick wall. There's a certain point in the day if you haven't slept. Maybe you've only gotten like 3 hours sleep for the last couple of days, and then all of a sudden you get to a point where it's like bang, you just lose all energy. You slouch in the chair. You just can't even create speech. Right? I was there about half an hour ago. Right?
Yeah.
But then what happens? Suddenly, all of a sudden, you just get this burst of energy from God knows where that makes no sense whatsoever and accentuates all of the you not being able to talk or make sense sort of thing.
I think what's happening there is that your body is dying.
That's the one.
And it's having like this last, well, if we're going to die anyway, let's
May as
get
well
some
go-
shit done.
May as well go all out.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah,
So let's start with the first one because you probably don't know who I'm talking about.
Nolan North.
Nolan North. A lot of people might know this name. If you don't, it's...
I don't.
No, you know him. You don't know the name.
Wow. Okay.
Nolan North is a voice actor, and he's become oddly prominent lately for being in
Is he
every
related to Chris
fucking
Nolan?
game.
Christopher Nolan, the director
No,
of The Dark
first
Knight?
names and last names are different.
Right.
One is a family name and the other is a personal name.
Right.
Anyway, he may be named. He may be related to North, the direction, though. Anyway, Nolan North is the voice actor who was. I've forgotten the character's name. Nathan Drake.
Hey, cool. He was cool. I liked him.
Yes, but he was also the character who was the prince from Prince of Persia,
Oh,
and he was also the dude from Assassin's Creed.
holy crap! He's just
One of the dudes from Assassin's Creed.
the
sorry.
go-to hardcore gruff-voiced guy.
Yeah, now I was reading something on Kotaku that was saying that by 2011 you're going to be sick of this guy, and he makes a valid point. I had a bit of a look through his bio, and he has been in 20 games last year alone,
Right.
including everything from Ratchet & Clank Future, Halo 3 ODST, the Ice Age game, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen,
Well,
Infamous...
Hold on. Now, I've got the pitch, the image of the, Drake sort of thing, the gruff voice and all the Assassin's Creed. They're all these gravelly voice sort of,
Well, I
hardcore
wouldn't
dudes.
really call the...
Well, they're gravelly voiced action hero kind of characters.
I wouldn't have thought Nathan... I would not refer to Nathan Drake as a gravelly voice. That's the point. It's his lack of graveliness that's what makes him...
Okay, fair point. I guess where I'm going with this is a guy that voices these kind of characters. Who the fuck did he voice in Ice Age?
Oh, I don't know. Some generic
Okay,
character
sorry,
of
that
some
one just
kind.
spun me. I'm like, what, was he Manny, the elephant? Because I don't think that voice would have...
No, he often plays kind of general characters like Soldier 4 or whatever. But he has been some really, really prominent character roles.
Yeah.
In, like, did you play, what's it called, Dark Void?
I haven't played it yet, no.
Hang on, I'm just going to yell.
Okay.
Yahtzee, can you close your door, please?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we are. We can
Yeah, we
hear you.
really are.
Wow, that's all right. The podcast will get an extra 1,000 hits because we can hear Yahtzee in the background.
Yes. Anyway, so he's been in just a ridiculous Avatar
Hey, I guess
and
this is the
the Dark Void demo,
Right.
that released sort of last week as well. He's
Yep,
the main
yep.
character in that as well.
Well, I guess here's the thing. There's a lot of games that he's obviously been in that are sequels or beginning of franchises sort of thing, or continuations of franchises. So I get the impression he's going to be around for a while.
He is. What really worries me though is he's got this kind of character that he's done, and speaking of Yahtzee kind of referenced it in his review of Uncharted 2.
Yep.
It's more or less the same character, like that Prince of Persia wisecracking kind of
Yeah.
slightly oddly American for a Prince of Persia sort of character. And the same with Uncharted 2. Like, the character works there, but I'm worried that they're just going to start pulling in this same exact character.
You know,
Because the Dark Void character seems to be exactly the same.
I gotta be honest though, frankly, I'm kind of, and maybe this is a reflection on the state of the industry, but I'm kind of okay with that, in the respect that I'd rather a character that is kind of amusing or funny, even if it's kind of familiar, as opposed to Capcom voice acting sort of thing. You know, I mean, really bad voice acting.
I'm worried about just getting a different stereotype instead.
Right.
Like, the point of those kind of anti-heroes is that they're different, but if you could just get the same one all the time, that's not better.
You know, that might not. I'm sure if this is his job to voice characters, maybe he can. You know, I'm sure he can come up with different. I can make different. I can sound like a really Mickey Mouse sort of thing.
And if he did, that would be groovy. That would be totally fine.
maybe
if
he
was
did in
doing
Ice
different-
Age.
Maybe he did in Ice Age, but he's doing so many of the same characters that I'm worried that we're going to get sick of this guy. And I'm already starting to get sick of this same guy popping up in every
Right.
freaking game I play.
Well, you know what? I wouldn't have if you didn't tell me who the hell he was.
Yeah, but you're
So-
oblivious to what's happening around you.
Because it doesn't bother me that much. I'll take the game at face value. I'll play it if I enjoy it and if I enjoy the character. I'm not going to play the game, or I wouldn't have played the game and gone, oh God, it's Nolan North again. You know.
Well, you will now.
I will now. Fuck you very much.
I'm
Thank
taking
you
an
for-
opportunity to ruin games for you.
For everyone, thank you very
Yes.
much. This is just not just you and me talking here.
While
yeah.
we're thanking people, I wanted to actually thank Sal for
Yes, Sal from
Sal, one of the people from our forums and from the general sort of people we hang around with, social group, is a sound engineer, and she came over and helped us set up our podcast. So if it's sounding unusually clear while stupid,
yeah.
Sal is to thank for the first
Yeah.
one, but not to blame for the second.
Yeah, mind you, if it is sounding really bad, again, you can probably
Yeah,
thank
blame her
Sal.
for that.
Blame Sal for that.
Because we knew our shit, and she just came around and messed with our system.
It's kind of funny because she was actually saying, so what do you guys do before each podcast? And I shit you not, this is totally true. We've got this mixing board in front of us, and Matt and I will sit down, we'll grab a microphone, so like, you're ready to go? Yep, and we'll be really serious. I'll have the headphones on. I'll go, all right, let's just do a sound test. And
Yeah.
we'll run the sound test, and I'll tweak the knobs. And I really haven't put much thought into this, but I realized that when I'm actually tweaking those knobs, turning them left to right and all that,
yeah.
I have no idea what I'm
No,
doing.
and what he often does is he turns them so they're on 4, and he'll turn them back to -2, then back to 4, and go, aha, better. So there's this.
Actually, no. What I usually do, and I realized that this is exactly what I do without even realizing how stupid it is. I'll change them, and then we'll record it for a bit. And I'm like, all right, just stop that. Hold on a second, and they'll turn them all back
Really?
to what they were initially.
Oh, I see. So
Yeah.
we have different sound settings when we're testing to what we do when we're recording.
Yeah, yeah.
That's useful.
yeah,
That's some fine work there.
I know. So, thank you, Sal, for coming in and hopefully fixing it up so we sound a little bit more goodish.
Yeah, we're trying to get rid of things like hisses and pops and that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
So hopefully the quality of this podcast is of a higher quality.
Way to go. Nice work. Let's move on. MAG gets Australian servers.
Yes, well, I'm glad because it would have been a major clusterfuck if it didn't.
Yeah, there's been a lot of controversy, well, not a lot of controversy, but a lot of criticism of Modern Warfare 2 for not having Australian servers.
Yes.
And for not having any concept of local matchmaking either. So you pretty much get stuck with what you've...
I'm going to
what
sound
you're
really
given.
ignorant here, but isn't that just only an issue with the PC version of the game?
No, it affects all
Okay.
versions,
All right.
basically. Because you can't select where the server is, you can't select
I
who
didn't
you play
think
with.
the console version of the games, online games, allow you to select servers.
A lot do.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, many do. Many have really good matchmaking systems that they'll automatically group you together
Automatically
with
do it.
people
Yes.
who are in your region, unless it can't find people, for
Yep.
example.
So MAG, which is for those that don't know, it's a game that's PlayStation 3 exclusive.
Yeah, it's a exclusive Sony action first-person shooter, which is based mostly on the concept of really big shit happening.
256 people are capable of playing at the same time.
Yeah, which is an unusually large number. The genre has generally been kind of fixed at 32 or
Yeah,
thereabouts,
yeah.
because over that, the sheer amount of crap to keep track of gets too much for computers. You know,
Yep.
because it's one of those exponential kind of things. Every person you add, you multiply the amount of data by those people.
Of course. So 250. I'm kind of surprised that it went in such a jump.
It's a big jump,
Do
isn't
you know
it?
what I mean? It's like 8, 16, 32, 250, 56.
Yeah.
Are we just multiplying by the same number or something? Or?
Well, it's generally bits.
Right. Yes.
So 2.
4,
4,
6,
6,
8, 16, 32, 64,
Yeah, we get it.
128. I was
But
quite proud
basically,
that I got that far, actually. But yeah.
well done. I'm actually really looking forward to this game. The genre is not one that I'm really that big into, but it's something I've been wanting to play more for a while. Is these kind of first-person shooters online.
Yep.
And so I'm really looking forward to getting MAG. I was quite amused by the Penny Arcade comic the other day that described the experience of playing MAG, which was more or less, I believe it was something along the lines of run for 5 minutes, die from someone you didn't see.
Right.
So
Yeah, you're not selling it to me, man.
well, I'm concerned if that's the experience, but I'm still kind of looking forward to it. I just like the idea of playing with such large numbers. I think that'd be really
Do
fun.
you, though? I mean, I'm skeptical on this one because I can see that as being frustrating. Unless, and to be fair, I don't probably know enough about the game to really justify and back this comment up, but unless there was a certain structure within the actual characters that you play. I mean, is it a 256 player deathmatch, or is it like there's
No, it's
groups or
team-based.
teams? So it's team based. How big are the teams?
Half of 256.
Well, no, you could
fuckwit.
you could have multiple teams or whatever. Within
Yeah,
a
I
thing.
guess so. You could have unbalanced teams as
Yeah,
well.
so see-
For example, a fortified area. I don't think so, though. I think it's based on 50-50 teams.
Right, so 128 players on your team potentially.
Yeah.
That to me, I mean, I'm sure that in any of these kind of games there would be the scope and the potential for amazing, team-based strategy, huge players, and to group together and really let's do some, amazing warfare and all this kind of thing. But that's not going to happen. It's just going to be one major big clusterfuck where everyone's running around and sliding around and and you run around for 5 minutes and then you get killed by someone that you didn't see.
We'll see. I'm really interested to give it a go. The demo,
I'm interested, yeah.
Yeah, the public beta was available for a while, and there was quite a bit of criticism of it.
Right.
Problems logging on, server issues, and so on.
Okay.
That's the sort of thing they have a beta for. So we'll see what the full game's like. I'm
Sure.
hoping someone in our
When does it come out?
I should know this crap. It is, I believe, the first week of February.
Let's go with that. That sounds good.
It's early February. I'm sure of that.
Cool.
So that should be pretty awesome. I'm looking forward to that.
All right.
One thing I was reading today, Rock Band Beatles has not sold as well as expected.
What was expected?
A lot. Like a fuckload. Well, basically that the simple fact that they had to put I don't think anyone's actually got a figure of how much
It did or was supposed
no,
to?
how much they spent on the rights to the Beatles catalogue.
Right.
But it must be a phenomenal amount, and you have to sell an awful lot
Yep.
to make that back.
Yep.
But they've actually sold less of Rock Band Beatles than they sold of Rock Band 2. Slightly less. 1.7 million from Rock Band.
Beatles.
1.7 million units from Rock Band Beatles worldwide, and
Yep.
1.7 million for Rock Band 2 in the US alone in 4 months.
Oh, right.
So Rock Band Beatles
You
is
see,
just
I've-
not making its money back.
I've always kind of... That doesn't surprise me. As it doesn't surprise me that Rock Band 2 is more successful than Rock Band Beatles. Because from what I can see, you buy Rock Band 2, or one of the ones that isn't associated with a music group, because if you're buying the Rock Band games, that's just what you're going to do, because it's got a wide variety of actual games. That if you have a party, people come over and play it or whatever. But
Yep.
you have to be a Beatles fan, or you have to enjoy the Beatles music in order to want to get rock band Beatles. You know what I mean?
I think the assumption was going to be that everyone was a Beatles fan.
No,
But
they're not though.
apparently that's not true, or at least not enough.
Yeah, yeah,
No.
yeah.
I think there's quite a lot of people that like quite a few of their songs without
Yep.
feeling any need to spend $100 to buy
Sure.
a collection of most of their albums.
I'd be interested to see if there are any stats on like the downloadable content or anything.
Well,
like
that's
that.
apparently done pretty well. In fairness, that's one thing that they're saying that they will quite possibly make their money back on the sales of downloadable content.
Mhm.
But even so, it's interesting because it points to a massive decline in the music game genre,
Well,
and other games are also.
I wonder if that's a massive decline or if that's just a case that there's now such a big market for it. I mean, you've got Rock Band, you've got Guitar Hero, you've got Band Hero, you've got DJ Hero, you've got Lego Band Hero, whatever. Sort of
yeah,
thing.
yeah, I know.
Lego Hero. No, Lego.
Do you think so? What you're saying is it's a saturated market?
Yes, there are
Yeah.
guitar game expansion packs that come out that I didn't even realize really came
Van
out until
Halen
they're
being
out.
a good example.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I wouldn't pick it up
No.
at the same time, but I just think there's so much option now out there now that it is oversaturated. I think most people that are familiar with DLC would probably just get the one or two games and then download the songs they want.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Like DJ Hero, as you brought up, that's another example of one that has not sold as well as expected. And I did finally find some figures on that. I think it was like the end of the last quarter of last year, or
Yep.
when it was released to the end of last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think it sold in the US 122,000.
That's not as much as
That's not good.
yeah.
That's
Although
significantly less than Brutal Legend did in October, for example.
mind you, it's costs significantly more because of the peripheral as well. So keep that in
costs,
mind.
it costs a lot of money, but we're not talking about amount. We're talking about numbers
yeah,
here.
sure.
And also the amount they spent on promoting that fucking thing.
Yeah, that's a valid
I
point.
think they would have expected a lot better from it.
Just
They're
actually, just quickly getting back to it as well, the whole oversaturation of rhythm games and all this kind of thing. I look back at like SingStar, right, which is the karaoke game on the
Yeah,
PlayStation
yeah.
3 or whatever, and they did really well. I mean, they still do really well. They just
Yeah.
pump them out time after time and all this kind of thing. There's SingStar and that's it. There's no other real karaoke game that's out on the PlayStation 3. That is
on
the
the
only
3.
on the PlayStation 3.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's no other karaoke kind of game.
that's because there doesn't need to be.
So why does there need to be a Rock Band and a Guitar Hero? Is what I'm saying. There's
Yeah,
a
I
whole
know
bunch
what
of
you mean.
different
I know what
ones
you mean.
now.
There's Lips as well on their 360, which is the sort of equivalent.
Yes, but that's console exclusive. I'm saying
Yeah.
if you've got a PlayStation 3 and you like karaoke games, you get SingStar. If
Yeah.
you've got a PlayStation 3 and you like the guitar games, then you've got Band Hero, Guitar Hero.
Yeah,
Rock
and
Band.
so on.
Like it is. I think the reason they're not selling as well as individual products is because they're not under an individual brand. So
Yeah, no, that's true. But also the whole music game genre has apparently just plummeted in popularity.
right.
For example, Guitar Hero 5 sold only 996,000 units, which sounds like a lot,
Yeah.
but 2008's Guitar Hero World Tour sold 3.4 million.
These figures and stats aren't surprising me though, because there's just not really. I look at Guitar Hero World Tour. That was huge. You got the drums. You got the voice, the microphone, everything
Whereas
like that.
5 is more of
Five
an
is
like a pack,
yeah,
a song
exactly.
pack.
And
Yeah, no, I get that. But in any case, the overall music genre game plummeted 46% between from last year,
Okay.
last year to the year before.
right.
So that's a pretty huge drop.
It is. Don't get me wrong.
Dropped 46% to $1 billion last year, which is the most of it. Like everything dropped about 8% overall. The whole industry dropped about 8%,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the music game genre dropped by 46%. And that must suck for some of the people who are really heavily invested in it. Harmonic
That's
CA.
fair enough. But to jump in here again, I would think that most of the people that bought these games initially and would have had to buy the peripherals aren't going to buy more peripherals. As in, like, once they've got
No,
them.
but that's not relevant
Isn't it?
because they're actually losing money on the peripherals anyway. The hardware actually loses money,
oh,
and
so
always
so-
has.
But are you actually listing profit, or are you listing how much
Both.
money did they
the
make?
sales dropped. Well, it's a bit of both. It's kind of a mix, but
Okay. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the overall thing that we're going for here is that industry, music rhythm game industry, the bubbles burst. It's
Yeah.
slowly declining.
I think if there's a conclusion to make, and it's probably what you were kind of saying before, is essentially it's dropped because it deserves to. The market is so saturated, and not all of them are that good.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's move on from that.
Yes.
What did I want to talk about?
Used games.
Yeah, used games. There's been an interesting move lately in some of the publishers to start fighting used games by adding stuff into the original games that
you can't use.
you can't use when you've used it up.
Right.
The latest is Mass Effect 2. Mass Effect 2 will come with a code that's like an unlock code that gives you access to like online leaderboards and stats and some sort of communication hub that you can get stuff from and all this kind of stuff. But it's a one-time code. You can't reuse it. So if you sell the game, the next person can't access that.
That's interesting.
I'm really not sure what to think about this.
Well, I mean, I know why they do that. I mean, I've talked to people that work in the game retail industry, all this kind of thing. The used game market is lucrative. It's
there's a significantly higher. It's
huge.
the only and the funny thing is, like, I've heard a lot of people criticize it, but frankly, it wouldn't exist without that. Yeah. None of the companies like EB and Game would actually make a profit if it wasn't for the used.
Yeah, and
thingies.
Of course the main thing to keep in mind is that all those used games and resold games and whatever, the original publishers and developers don't see a cent of any of that money of those games that get resold.
Hence, there is such a profit margin for the retailer.
I don't think there's any particular bad guy in that scenario though. That's just
Well, the bad guy and the thing that people have criticised is that the retailers will push customers away from retail packs to their
used games,
which are often literally $5 cheaper.
Sure.
So I think a lot of people object to that, and I can see that side of it as well. But it is interesting to see the publishers fighting it directly, and you have to wonder where that stops. Do you have like a code that gives you armor, and if you don't have that, you don't have armor? So you have to wander around as this.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just like an additional extra kind of funky cool thing you get if you did buy it brand new, or.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
What about if you're getting better weapons if you bought it new to what you?
I'm sure they're not going to go that far. In the same respect, they don't give better weapons out to game characters in special editions of games or whatever.
They often do.
But not game-defining things.
No, maybe not, but certainly game-changing things. And I could see a time when maybe they did start to do that, when maybe they did start to actually change the game for people who bought it new, as they try to kind of combat.
I hope not, because the other thing is that at the end of the day, not all of us do keep our games. Like, there is worth and merit in, and I certainly know that you always end up lending game. I haven't played that game. Yeah, sure, go borrow it, sort of thing. Everyone's always lending all their mates games or swapping games or whatever sort of thing. It would be a little bit harsh, I think, of the publishers to actually restrict or only give these rewards to people that have bought it firsthand.
Another thing to counterbalance that whole thing against the used game sales is that a lot of the games that are traded in for another game.
Yeah.
Like, people don't just get cash and wander off. A lot of people are maybe only able to buy your latest game because they sold your last game.
Yep. That's very true.
So I'm not sure whether we can really be too critical of that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just thought it was interesting that
especially with the price of. Actually, I was reading. Oh God, I can't remember. Someone sent me a link to his blog or something like that, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's nice. And I started reading it. I'm like, actually, this is really cool. Wish I could remember what it is and tell you all about it, but I can't. No amount of browsing will help me find it. Sorry, Matt.
No, I got the same email.
Oh, okay, cool. But yeah, it was just this report on how ridiculously overpriced games are in Australia as opposed to the rest of the world.
No, I've seen these, and I find some of them really interesting. It's interesting to try to get an answer to this. I've tried in the past to talk to publishers directly, and they won't answer the question very well. But the question of who sets the prices and why is one that gets kind of,
you were just saying something about the retailers and stuff like that. Like, they'd hardly even make a profit if it wasn't for the used game industry. Is that true? Is that
that is
true?
Because I know places like EB, for example, operate on such tight budgets. They've got to keep their prices low to be competitive.
Yeah.
But a lot of companies, like Big W and so on,
Yep.
sell well under retail because they don't have to make
Yep.
massive profits. They have to make like 20 cents on each
Sure.
title. And they don't make any money on the hardware that they sell either. So there's only a few limited places they can actually make a profit. Accessories is one, and the used stuff is another.
Yep.
So it is true. I've talked to a few people who've worked in the industry, and they all say the profits are dire.
So it sounds like something that's more on the heads of the publishers themselves than anything else. But then you have to wonder: are those prices set by the publishers here in Australia, or are they actually dictated by, I don't know, import costs or the fees of actually getting them here, or are they dictated by the companies overseas, or I don't know.
That's been used as an excuse. Rock Band 2, I think it was, when it was announced to Europe.
Yeah.
They basically said, well, of course it's twice as expensive in Europe. It's further from China, which is where it was being shipped from. So the shipping costs are higher, so therefore.
Okay.
But Australia paid more still, and we're closer to China. So that's clearly a fucking lie.
Right.
And I don't see any way around that. It must be a lie. It's either true or it isn't. And if it's not, then... So I think there's a lot of factors. I think there's a lot of... It's basically, what will the market bear? What will we be willing to pay?
Well, the problem is that we're going to pay whatever we can pay to get the games that we want to play.
And we expect games to be a certain amount as well. Like
we're used to it.
We're used to it. We know that games cost $110.
Yeah.
So we pay $110 for a console game.
Yep.
Whereas in the US, they'd go... fucking $80,
I
whatever
know.
It would be an equivalent.
I know, but I just can't see that changing anytime soon because, what are we supposed to do? Not buy games for a month?
What I find particularly offensive is actually not so much that. You can kind of accept that that the exchange rate and shipping and smaller markets and so on. But when it's online games through things like Steam and stuff like that, the amount extra that we pay can be really fucking insulting. And THQ in particular deserve an anal raping for what they've done. They've actually pulled a lot of their games off Steam because they can't overcharge for them by as much.
Right.
And there are quite a lot of examples what you can do where you can set your country as America, for example, and then switch it to Australia and watch the price triple. Adobe software is a really good example of that. Go to the purchase online section of Adobe. Yeah. Don't actually purchase because you don't have enough money. But set your price. Set your location as Australia and watch the price. I think it's 2.5 times
Jesus.
You pay for downloaded software because you're in Australia. There's no other reason than that.
Fuck. All right. Well,
but that's a bit off topic.
Yeah. Let's pick it up a bit. This is depressing now.
Well, this is no less depressing. Gran Turismo PSP came out recently, and then I mainly sort of shoehorned this in as a topic to force people to go and... What the fuck happened there?
Force people to go on.
Here's
your taco sauce.
I know. The kid
I fell in the hot sauce. Ow.
Anyway, to go and read Brett's fucking mental review. Did you read it yet?
I haven't read it.
Read it. It's wrong. There's something wrong with him. Why the fuck did we hire him?
All right. Yeah. Anyone listening to this that doesn't know Brett is our Perth writer for Australian Gamer. There's a reason he's all the way over in Perth, is because he isn't allowed near any major cities.
There was any real cities. There was a reason that I kind of wanted to talk about that, but I'm going to cut it a bit short, which is that what are they called? Fucking forgotten the name of the company that makes
Gran Turismo.
Gran Turismo now.
That one.
Raps in the Symphony something. Anyway, they haven't actually produced a game since 2004, I think.
Okay.
And they've spent $60 million on GTA 5 so far.
Right.
Without actually releasing it yet.
Yes, I have noticed that. They did do Prologue, though. So
yeah, well, Prologue is half a game. But one reason I was reading basically about how much they've made for Sony in the past.
Yeah.
And basically all the best-selling games on every console for Sony have been Gran Turismo something.
So they've got that history sort of thing. Yep.
Yeah, so they've kind of earned their right.
Yep.
Anyway, I think we're pretty much done for this, but...
I think we are. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. You'll be listening to this on either Netgame Radio or Australian Gamer, so good on you. And... yeah, I'm sorry. I really want to sign off with something amazing and insightful.
We probably need to come up with something catchy and snappy, like...
Over to you now, Bruce.
Who's Bruce?
No idea. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll talk to you later.
See you guys.